Wrap it up on Sports Pit Betting Inside today. Time for the deep dive. Recap the draft. Look at some futures here in a second. And the South Point already came out with win totals yesterday. I know they were pleasantly surprised by the handle. First year you could bet on the draft. A lot of the right moves got there. The big prop that they took a bath on would a kicker, the first kicker selected, go rounds 2 through 3 or 4 through 7. 4 through 7 cashed. There was a $10,000 bet at the South Point on that one, and that thing opened $1.30 and was bet up to over $4, Teddy.
Yeah, well, and there were different lines at different books because other books had it posted, will the first kicker get selected before the 5th round, I believe it was, and those guys, the undercashed. Because the first kicker went, it would be before the 6th or 7th round, and he hit the 5th. The first kicker went to the 153rd pick overall, I believe. Anyhow, some books cashed under, some books cashed over. South Point, in particular, had a number that wasn't a good one, and they took a beating on it.
All right, the one team that moved and improved their Super Bowl odds, the Texans, because they get Watson. What do you think?
There's hope, to be honest. Okay, let's start with this. I don't mind a team making a move to pick up a potential franchise quarterback. I look at Houston as a team that has a lot of pieces in place, except for the QB position. So to make a move, yeah, it makes sense. And it makes sense that the money would come in on the Texans after the first round of the draft, because that was the one team that, as you mentioned, saw significant action after money came in, because the markets, or at least some of the markets, really like Deshaun Watson. But for the vast majority of these teams, the draft didn't change their Super Bowl odds one iota. We talk a lot about the draft, and the draft gets a lot of capital, but when it comes to the betting markets, little adjustments, if any, from the draft. Free agency, the far more important of the two periods.
Wow, how about this tweet? Look at these ugly numbers on teams the last 15, 16 years that have traded up to get a quarterback.
And it's one bust after the next, man. You remember Kyle Bowler? Remember when the Bills made the move to get J.P. Losman? Jason Campbell and his flame out? Well, you got Cutler. He's had a great career. Now, they're not hopeless. You have Flacco, but then you have Sanchez and Josh Freeman and Tim Tebow and Blaine Gabbert, RG3 and Johnny Football. Yeah, it's a pretty ugly list. This is not a list that you want to be on. Oh, who's on there? How about that? All 3 of the 2017 first-round QBs, Trubisky, Mahomes, and Deshaun Watson.
How about the Bills? They go through the draft, then they fire Whaley, the GM, and the entire scouting staff.
Yeah, what a boost of confidence for the kids who just got drafted. You know, hey, the guys that liked you, they're all fired now.
Oh.
Go work your job. At Doug Whaley, I'm not going to make excuses for Doug Whaley. You know, you look at the Bills, they made a lot of wrong moves in recent years, but the concept of we're going to fire our GM and the scouting staff and do it the day after the draft, it makes, we can rant here, Pauly, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you don't like these guys and you don't want them running your draft, fire them a month or 2 ago, see if somebody else doing it. Doesn't make any sense for the Bills, but of course, from most indication, or at least most of the draft grades didn't have the Bills graded particularly high anyway, as usual. But again, the draft grades are every bit as bad as the draft predictions, which are essentially meaningless.
All right, yesterday was a big day at the South Point and for VSiN, because they went live on the air as Chris Andrews and Jimmy Vaccaro came up with the first win totals posted in the world on the NFL. Patriots lead the way 11 over -120. Got to blindly bet that over, right? Here's the Patriots. 14-2, 12-4, 12-4, 12-4, 12-4, 13-3, 14-2, 10-6, 11-5, 16-0, 12-4 the last few years. My God.
I cashed a ticket on the under the one year they went 10-6.
Oh, there you go.
But in general, and I did, in general, New England has been, the single most consistent over team in all of football. Obviously, that's well represented in the number there with a total of 11. But what's interesting, you look at the top, we don't necessarily think, do you think it's in your mind coming into 2017 season? Do you have Pittsburgh and Seattle as the top 2 challengers to New England? I don't. But look at them both as the next 2. And the next 2 after that, Atlanta and Green Bay. Interesting. All your upstarts, your Dallases, your Oaklands, your Tennessees, Baltimore, not much respect for Kansas City on this number. And Carolina and the Giants and Indy, they're all ranked lower than Pittsburgh, Seattle, Atlanta, Green Bay at the top end of the win totals.
I bet the Packers over. I'm surprised at that move. I mean, they were horrible last year and still won 10 games with that bad start. I wonder if the Falcons can recover. I mean, that's always been a different winner every year in the South. And I think between that tough schedule and how they lost, it's going to be tough to get. They lose Shanahan. Could be a tough down year for Atlanta.
Yeah, for Green Bay, you have to remember the fact that the Packers faced as easy a schedule as it gets last year. Significantly tougher for the NFC North as a division in 2017 than it was in 2016. And it's funny, Pauly, because your eyes go to the top, my eyes always go to the bottom. The first thing I'm always looking at, who are the teams that aren't being respected? Are any of these teams any good? Look at Arizona, lined at 7.5. That's one that stood out to me. And Miami, a team that showed a lot of potential last year, also lined at 7.5 going into 2017.
Yeah, they have a tough schedule. I was looking at that. Plus, they also have to play the Patriots twice in 15 days. Same as the LA Chargers. That is a surprise. What do you think? Money time, play of the day? You like the Browns?
Well, yeah. What I want to talk about, one last point before play of the day. Note the fact that these are the South ones. These are literally the world openers. These are virgin numbers. They just got bet into yesterday. Other books haven't copied or made their own numbers yet. I expect a bunch of numbers to come out in the next 24 hours. So the markets will move and move significantly early as the books come together. But when you add up all the wins here for the South Point, you're supposed to have, if every team goes 8-8, they finish with 256 wins. Well, South Point's got the teams, if you add them up, they're aligned at 259 total wins. So there is a slight bias to the over. And you factor in the juice, it's more like 259.5 or 260 wins. So there's definitely a little bit of bias in these numbers towards the over. That being said, yeah, I like the Browns. I like them over 4, I'll tell you that. Should we go play of the day right here, right now, Pauly?
Take it away, yeah.
Absolutely. Cleveland, everything went wrong. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong last year. One thing we know about the NFL, bad teams win 5 games, bad teams win 6, bad teams win 7. Cleveland's going to be a lot better, and 4 is too low, plain and simple. This number's not going to be there a week from now, let alone a month from now. Take the Browns over 4 wins. That's the play of the day.
Hey guys, for the full video, go to sbrpicks.com.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.